Joining us now, the great Vivek Ramaswamy. He's a former 2024 presidential candidate, co-founder of Strive Asset Management, and author of Nation of Victims, Identity Politics, The Death of Merit, and the Path Back to Excellence. Vivek, welcome back, as always. You know I love to talk issues with you. Can we talk about this $8 billion and 50,000 person climate corps, which gets fabulous benefits, and of course, student loan cancellations have to be one of the fabulous benefits for every Biden program, especially since the Supreme Court has ruled that to be unconstitutional. But, Vivek, I also think you're looking at an army of mail-in ballot harvesters. So what does Vivek Ramaswamy think about the climate corps?
Look, I think the climate corps is based on a false premise. There is no climate emergency in the United States or around the world. And Larry, you get me started on this. You got to be careful. We have 8 times as many people dying of cold temperatures rather than warm ones in the United States and around the world. You have actually an Earth that is at a relative low of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere relative to most points in human history. And carbon dioxide is plant food, which is why the Earth is more covered by green surface area today than it was even a century ago. And by the way, for every 100 people that died in the 1920s of a climate-related disaster, you know how many die today? The answer is 2. And the reason why is advances powered by fossil fuels. So this climate change agenda is absolutely a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with greater dominion and control of the government. And also China's laughing at every step of the way as the very people who want to call for climate corps volunteers and soldiers here in the United States shifting their carbon emissions to places like China where they're not saying a peep. So that's why this agenda is both anti-American at its core. And that's the problem. When you have tax dollars flowing into Washington, D.C., not only does that shrink the economy because Americans have less money to spend out of their own pockets, it's that Washington, D.C. starts spending those tax dollars on regulatory agendas that impede the economy twice over. So it's a double whammy, and that's why we need to put an end to all of this nonsense.
I mean, look, if Trump wins, he's going to zero this thing out. He'll impound it right away. But, am I too cynical? I mean, you launched this climate corps, 50,000 people with all kinds of benefits, including student loan cancellations. Come on, these guys are going to be ace mail-in ballot harvesters. It's better than Zuckerbucks. In fact, it's Zuckerbucks on a grand federal scale, Vivek.
So, look, I don't think you're being too cynical. If you actually want to be a step further cynical, here's what you've got to look at. A lot of the Biden policies are oriented towards what maximizes the chance of re-election for Biden this fall.
Right.
That's a big part of the reason we're not seeing deportations in this country. These are potential long-run voters for the Democrats. It's why we're seeing soft border policies. And this isn't some sort of wild theory. Democrats themselves, about 10 years ago, were saying the same thing. Loose border policies, lax illegal immigration policies are a big way for Democrats to secure lasting electoral majorities. And so you want to know how somebody behaves, you want to know what policies they support as a party, look at their incentives. And their incentives to win elections are tied to so many of the things that they're doing today that are still destructive for America as we know it.
Vivek, speaking of deportations, Mr. Trump spoke yesterday in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we have some sound on that very subject. Please take a listen.
But when I'm president, instead of asking you to cram illegal aliens into your homes, I'll tell you that the illegal alien trespassers, they must go back to their homes. They have to go back because no country can withstand this invasion. It's wrecking our civilization. It's destroying our country. On day one, I will seal the border and we'll begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country.
Largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. I mean, Vivek, for all I know, you could be the Secretary of Homeland Security. I mean, you're qualified for it. You've been in business. You have a great track record. What do you make of his pledge, the largest domestic deportation operation in history?
I think it's common sense. If you have had the largest mass illegal migration into this country in American history, then it stands to reason, Larry, that we require the largest mass deportation in American history as well. This isn't novel. We've had mass deportations under President Eisenhower. They worked. I think they will work in Trump's second term as well. And the trap that somehow the media has led the public to believe And I think we had to explain to the public what's going on. Is this is not compassion. This is cruelty. It is cruelty to Americans. It is cruelty to many of the Hispanic communities in America who came legally to this country, who are suffering the scourge of crime and other effects of that illegal mass migration. It's people in inner cities that are suffering, black, white, brown, and everything in between, Democrat and Republican included. The south side of Chicago converting local high schools into encampments for those illegal migrants. It is a rejection of American principles. We're a nation founded on the rule of law. And so I don't think that this is cruel. I think it is the compassionate thing to do, both for Americans and to stand for the rule of law. It's logical. End those incentives to be here illegally. Stop funding the sanctuary cities. Stop funding Central America until they stop the northward flow of migrants. You know what military we really need isn't a climate military. It isn't a climate corps. It's putting our own military on our own southern border. That's how we put an end to this border crisis. And I think those mass deportations are the moral thing to do for Americans. And we're on the right side of history with this one.
Got it. Got it. The other thing is, I didn't want to lose track of this. Latest Fox poll shows about 2/3 of Americans believe they are overtaxed. And Mr. Biden, although he always says he's going to tax rich people, the middle-class people here, politicians say that they guard their wallets because they know they pay the bulk of the taxes. Are Americans overtaxed? And, Vivek, what should we be doing about it?
I think we need to make the Trump tax cuts permanent as a starting point. The reality is, on one hand, you could stimulate the economy by putting more money in people's pockets, something we're failing to do today under Biden. And I think that we got to go one step further with respect to making sure that hardworking Americans have more of the money that they earn actually flow into their pockets so they can spend it. But the other thing is when you have more of that money flow into the Washington bureaucracy, it feeds the very regulatory state that's impeding entrepreneurs and small businesses from creating value. So I look at it in reverse, Larry. First, we need to slash and burn much of that federal bureaucracy. Downsize the actual size of that federal government and that federal bureaucracy, and you'll need a smaller tax base to actually pay for it. The other thing that needs to be done is reduce the complexity of the tax code. Most people have no idea what sort of subsidies or sort of deductions are baked in. Simplify the tax code, bring down the rates, broadest possible base, lowest possible rate. That's how you stimulate the economy. And I think that that is the fair and just system. That's the pro-American way for us to embrace our excellence instead of apologizing for it.
You know, Vivek, it's well put. I love that simplification. Broaden the base, shrink the rate, lower the rates themselves. Art Laffer, whom you know, always talks about how if you have that kind of tax reform, it's flat tax oriented reform, may not be a pure flat tax, but you're lowering the rates, you're simplifying the code, you'd be reducing the brackets. Anyway, the point is it would reduce tax avoidance. And in so doing, would reap a revenue windfall. This was the basis of the Laffer curve, Vivek. Give you the last word on that one.
And even for those Democrat friends on the other side of the aisle, it reduces the effects of crony capitalism. People talk about corporations not paying their fair share. There is no tax code to gain if you've simplified the tax code, broadened the base, and lowered the rate. So I think it is the fairest system for competition in America, allows anyone to achieve the maximum of their potential and economic success with their own hard work and dedication. That's what America's founded on. And I think that the reason we want low tax rates in this country is not just to stimulate the economy, but it's an expression of who we are as Americans. That's what our founding fathers believed. Keep in mind, remember the Boston Tea Party? They started that party for a reason. We got to remember that spirit today as we look at stimulating our economy today as well.
I know. Vivek, I'm so old. I was there at that Boston Tea Party. They were talking. They were talking about the Laffer curve and how tax cuts will generate higher tax revenues. I heard them say it. Anyway, Vivek Ramaswamy, the best of the best. Thanks, as always, for your wisdom. We appreciate it. Take care.